Hello students, my name is Mr. Harshal Neskar and we are studying the subject of basic human rights, and this is lecture number 24, that is the last lecture from the second topic. Alright, so in the last lecture we have studied the concept of bonded labor, then we studied the statistics of bonded labor in India, and we also studied the causes of bonded labor in India. So in this lecture we are going to study the constitutional measures taken to combat the prevalence of bonded labor in India. So there are basically some Indian constitutional safeguards prepared to protect this particular right against the exploitation of human beings in India. So let's start with this particular article number 19 1G, which enables an individual to practice any trade, profession and employment of their choice. So basically it protects the right of any individual to practice any profession or occupation of their own choice. So that is the right to choose the profession. Then we have the article number 21, which guarantees right to life and personal liberty. Also, no person or authority can own a life of another human being. The practice of bonded labor violates all constitutionally mandated rights. So basically it is the right of personal liberty. Then we have the article number 23, which prohibits the practices like beggar, forced labor and human trafficking. The term beggar here, it may mean labor or service provided by the person with less or no remuneration. So basically that is the definition given by the Indian constitution for a term beggar. All right, so basically article number 23, it is the right against the exploitation, which prohibits the practices of forced labor and human trafficking. Then we have the article number 24, which prohibits the employment of children, whether they are bonded or otherwise. And together these article number 23 and 24, they are placed under the heading of right against the exploitation, which is one of the India's constitutionally proclaimed fundamental rights. So in the lecture number 5, we have studied the fundamental rights that are given by the Indian Constitution, and we have studied this particular right against the exploitation in that lecture also. All right, so we will study these particular articles and the constitutional safeguards or the legal provisions made by the Indian government under these particular article 23 and 24. So let's move on with that. We have the first legal provision made by the Indian government, that is the Bonded Labor System Act. So it is an extension to article number 23 of the Indian Constitution, and this act intends to free all bonded laborers, cancel their debts, establish rehabilitative measures and punish the offender through imprisonment and fine. On the commencement of this act, the bonded labor system shall stand abolished, and every bonded labor shall on such commencement stand freed and discharged from any obligation to render any bonded labor. All right, so that is the particular definition given in the act. After the commencement of this act, no person shall make any advance under or in pursuance of the bonded labor system, or compel any other person to render any bonded labor or other form of forced labor. So these are the terms that are given in the Bonded Labor System Act only. All right, so we will uh, study in a simple language, all right, with some given questions. So the first question that can be asked to this particular act is the who is considered as bonded labor. So according to the definition given in the act, the bonded labor means service arising out of loan, debt or advance. So bonded labor means the service given by some person out of the loan or debt or advance taken by that particular person. It represents the relationship between the creditor and debtor, wherein the debtor undergoes to mortgage his services or the services of any of his family members to the creditor for a specified or non-specified period. with or without ages, accompanied by denial of choice of alternative avenues of employment, or to deny him freedom of movements, then the person would normally be covered under the definition of bonded labor. So basically bonded labor is suppose one person is there and he has taken a loan or debt or advance from some other person, second person we will call that, and in return of that particular loan or debt or advance, the first person uh, will provide his services or service from his own family members. All right, so that particular process will be considered under this particular issue of bonded labor. So that was the definition given in the act. So then we have the second question, that is, what does the act say about the bonded debt? The bonded debt is an advance given to a laborer on the condition that he or she performs some kind of forced labor. The act makes null any requirement of bonded labor to repay bonded debt. So that was the bonded debt. Under this act of bonded labor system, any movable property that may have been forcibly taken from bonded laborer or his or her dependent in lieu of bonded debt must be returned to him or her. The Act also prohibits the creditors for those enforcing bonded labor from accepting any payment against the bonded debt. We have the statistics from the International Labour Organization of year 2016. All right. So basically, the bonded labor, bonded debt. Uh, so So we studied this particular definition of bonded labor, and suppose there are some person they are pursuing this particular issue of bonded labor, and under this particular to get return from this bonded debt, then the particular creditor or the person who is given money, all right, so he will be punished with the there are some penalties offered, but suppose that particular creditor has taken the property of bonded labor, then that particular property should be returned to the bonded labor at that particular moment. All right, and this that particular bonded debt, that also not be mandated to pay to the creditor himself. All right, so that is given in the act. Then we have the next question, that is, how does the act penalize offenders? So anyone who forces a person into bonded labor can be imprisoned for up to 3 years along with a fine of 2000 rupees. This includes offences such as advancing bonded debt and encouraging the caste-based practices that force people to do bonded labor. The Act also frees up the mortgaged property of bonded laborers and ensures that not they are not evicted from their homes. So that is the penalty that is been provided in the Bonded Labor System Act. All right. So that this particular penalty is uh, not the only penalty. We will study the next legal provisions. There are some harsh penalties given to the offenders. All right. Then we have the next question: who must implement the provisions of this act? Then there are the state governments must ensure that district magistrate the implement the act on the ground. The DM, that is district magistrate, and officers under his or her charge must conduct the local inquiries to find out if any instances of bonded labor still exist in the society. They must also help to protect the economic interest of bonded laborers and promote their welfare so that they are not pushed into the bondage again. Then we have the next question: what are the district level vigilance committees? So district level vigilance committees comprising of social workers and members of SC/ST communities shall provide the economic and social rehabilitation to bonded laborers. The committee coordinates with rural banks and cooperative societies to arrange the credit for bonded laborers. They also monitor the offences under the Act and defend the freed bonded laborers. All right, so that was the role of district level vigilance committees that are being formed by the state government. Then we have the question of what does the Act say about the offences committed by the companies or the organizations. When an offense under this Act is committed by a company or an organization, every person who conducted business or for the company at the time the offense was committed can be held guilty and he will be penalized for that offense. All right, so that is the act or the legal provisions made by the Indian government under this Act of Bonded Labor System Abolition Act 1976. So we will move to the next legal provision, that is the Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act 1986, and which was amended in the year of 2016. So this particular act, it prohibits the engagement of children in certain employments and regulates the conditions of work of children in certain other employments. All right, so according to the Indian Constitution, the rights are ensured to the citizens of the citizens of the Indian Constitution. The children are also given rights under the Constitution as they are considered the citizens of the country. Considering their special statuses, special provisions are made for the children under the Constitution, like the right to free elementary education that was made compulsory under the article of 21 of the Indian Constitution. So basically the children of the Indian society, they have been given some rights, like first right is like right to free education. Then we have the right to protection till the age of 14 years from any kind of hazardous employment, which is provided under the article number 24 of the Indian Constitution. Then we have the article number 39 of the Constitution, which protects children from any kind of abuse or forced employment which is not suitable for their age and ability. And to protect these rights of children, the Indian government, they have made some act like the Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act, which have been passed by both the Parliament houses, received the assent of President on 23rd of December 1986. All right. So that was the beginning of this particular Child Labor Act. So this particular act, it prohibits the employment of children in certain occupations and processes. So we'll study this particular part. So this Child Labor Act, it aims to eradicate any kind of child abuse in the form of employment, and it prohibits the engagement of children in any kind of hazardous employment who have not completed 14 years of age. So the particular term children or a child is considered when the particular person is under the age of 14. All right, and this act prohibits the employment of children in certain occupations and processes only. That the processes or occupation that are considered the hazardous only, only those particular occupations and processes are prohibited for the children employment. Otherwise, according to Act, the children can be employed for the non-hazardous occupations. The Act in total prohibits approximately 13 occupations and 51 processes for the employment of children. The occupations may be like transport of passengers, goods or mails by railway, construction work, making of bidi, manufacturing of matches, explosives, fireworks, etc. So, as the act couldn't eradicate child labor from society and permitted the employers to give employment to the children for non-hazardous occupations without any government monitoring, it needed some corrections. All right. So basically, the act that was established in the year of 1986, it had some corrections, like the children, they were allowed to work in non-hazardous occupations, all right, but still they had to act, they had to work in these particular occupations that may be hazardous to their growth as a child. All right, so it needed some corrections, and in the year of 2006, the central legislature has made substantial changes in the provisions of the Child Labor Act in the year of 2006, and the said amendments have been made effective from 30th July 2016. The name of Child Labor Act has now been changed to the Child and Adolescent Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act 1986. So, according to the amendment, a complete prohibition has been imposed on employment of child labor in any establishment, whether this particular occupation is hazardous or not. That is, a person below the age of 14 years, he is prohibited from working in any occupation. But there is a condition: a child is permitted to work only to help his family, or he can work in his family enterprises, which is only other than the hazardous occupations, or he can work as a child artist after the school hours or during the vacations of school. So there is a condition for child labor in India. The amendment has introduced the concept of adolescent labor for the first time. An adolescent, it has been defined as a person between the ages of 14 to 18 years. The adolescent, the amendment particularly permits the employment of adolescent labor except in hazardous processes or occupation. So first, for the first time, the Indian government has introduced a term that is the adolescent. That means a person with the age of 14 to 18, he or she is considered as a adolescent, and they are allowed to work in the non-hazardous occupations or processes. The act provides for increased penalty and imprisonment, which shall not be less than 6 months, may extend to up to 2 years, and fine which may vary between the 20,000 to 50,000 rupees. Previously, the violations under the Child Labor Act were punishable with the imprisonment not less than 3 months, which could extend to 1 year, or and with fine of 10,000 rupees, which only could extend to 20,000 rupees only. So this particular amendment act, it increased the penalty, which was the much needed change. While the new amendment appear to be progressive in nature, but they have downside also. Like the new amendment put a complete prohibition on employment of children, but at the same time it them to work, uh, allowed them to work or employed in a family enterprises or businesses. Considering that majority of child labor activities happen in economically weaker section of the society, which is highly unregulated, no proper mechanism has been provided to keep the same in check with the new amendments. Further, the list of hazardous industries, it has been drastically decreased, and this may allow the employers in industries like chemical mixing units, cotton farms, battery recycling units, and brick kilns, etc., which are actually hazardous, to employ the adolescent laborers, which they may even get at much cheaper price. All right. So it is therefore more important now for the government to keep a check on the working conditions of adolescent labor, as well as the working conditions for the children in family run businesses. So that is basically the Child Labor Act 1986, and which was amended in the year of 2016. So there are some ups and downs in this particular act, and they need to correct at a very strict level, or the government should properly monitor this particular situation of adolescent or the child laborers. All right. So we'll move to the next legal provision, that is the Trafficking of Persons Prevention, Protection and Rehabilitation Bill, that was introduced in the year of 2018. So the Lok Sabha on 26th of July 2018 passed the Trafficking of Persons Prevention, Protection and Rehabilitation Bill 2018. So we'll first study the need for the new law. There were some laws particularly to protect or the prohibit this particular trafficking of person, like the Immoral Trafficking or Prevention Act, which was established in the year of 1956. It was completely based on instances where women are trafficked for forced sex and prostitution, but now trafficking is being done for other purposes, including slave work, forced labor, begging, and being done for other purposes. All right. The new proposed bill, which prohibits all forms of the trafficking and stringent punishment and rehabilitation and preventive measures, which is hence essential as there is sense of urgency towards this in our society, with the number of cases shooting up than ever before in the recent past. So, according to the National Crime Records Bureau, there are 8,132 human trafficking cases which were reported in India in year of 2016 under the Indian Penal Code 1860. In the same year, 23,117 trafficking victims were rescued. Of these, the highest number of persons were trafficked for forced labor, that is the 45.5%. All right, and followed by the prostitution of 21.5%. The bill provides for the investigation of trafficking cases and rescue and rehabilitation of trafficked victims. It also includes the trafficking for the purposes of sexual exploitation, slavery, or forced removal of organs. In addition, the law also considers trafficking for certain purposes such as begging or for inducing early sexual maturity to be an aggravated form of trafficking. These forms of trafficking attract a higher punishment. In order to punish trafficking, the bill provides for the setting up of investigation and rehabilitation authorities at the district, state, and national level. The bill also provides for the setting up of protection homes and rehabilitation homes to provide care and rehabilitation to the victims. The bill supplements the rehabilitation efforts through the Rehabilitation Fund, which will be used to set up the protection and rehabilitation homes. There are special courts which will be designated in every district to complete the trial of trafficking cases within the year. Alright, so that was the particular bill of trafficking of persons to prevent and protect and rehabilitate those victims. Alright. So moving on with the question of how does this particular bill compare with the existing trafficking laws. So the current bill, it does not replace but adds to the existing legal framework. As discussed above, currently a range of laws deal with these various aspects of trafficking. For instance, there is the Immoral Traffic Act 1986, which covers the trafficking for commercial sexual exploitation, while there is Bonded Labor System Act 1976, which deals with the punishment for employment of bonded labor. These laws specify their own procedures for enforcement and rehabilitation. All right. So that was this particular Trafficking of Persons Prevention, Protection and Rehabilitation Bill, which was introduced in the year of 2018. All right, so these are the legal provisions that are being made by the Indian government. So now we will move to the next part of heart-wrenching stories of bonded labor, in which we have the first story of how Dalits from Lalitpur village became bonded laborers in our own capital, Delhi. All right, so hundreds of people flock to the national capital every day, leaving behind their villages and hoping to get a better job or a better life. Like them, There is a person Pusau and his wife Juna and 19 others from the Madhwana village of Lalitpur came to Delhi leaving their home behind in the search of new opportunities. But like many other bonded laborers, they ended up wageless, enslaved, and trapped in the Bhavani Kunj area of New Delhi's Vasant Kunj. That is not all, they were not given enough food and occasionally they were beaten up. According to the Pramod, a 24-year-old daily wage laborer, he and 22 other Dalit laborers were asked to build a boundary wall around the farm in Vasant Kunj. Confined within the farm, they were never allowed to go outside and they were always surrounded by the people who kept a close watch on them. The contractor he used to carry a pistol with which he would intimidate them. They were forced to work continuously for 12 to 14 hours and were not even allowed to take lunch breaks. As a result, they starved and fell ill without even realizing they had become the bonded laborers. Pusau, Pramod, and others are among several hundred who continue to suffer as a bonded laborer in India. All right. With rampant unemployment, people, many of whom are landless, poverty stricken, and lack agency, are forced to migrate. The 11 families from Lalitpur, they were no different to this situation. They agreed to come to Delhi with a local contact who allegedly lured them into the work aspects. By promising 400 rupees per day, the person handed them over to a powerful builder who paid them absolutely nothing for the 3 months of their daily work. Now the question remains, are they really freed from bonded labor? Although under section 370 of Indian Penal Code, unlawful compulsory labor is prohibited. Pusau and his wife have been enslaved and forced to work for a total of 3 times now. Alright. 5 years ago, when he was in the same condition as he is today, an empty stomach and with absolutely zero money and as much zero hope. That was the first time he received the release certificate from the authorities, and that was also the first time he realized the modern day slavery. It doesn't end with the release certificates, because he again trapped with the bonded labor condition in the Delhi itself after the 5 years also. Today also he has the release certificates that indicates he is freed from bonded labor. But what about the rehabilitation? That is the question that has not yet been answered. All right. So the Nirmal Gorana, the convener of National Campaign Committee for Eradication of Bonded Labor, who rescued the Dalit laborers from the Vasant Kunj farm, he says it's a loop. All right. So the convener of this particular committee, he says it's a loop. The problem cannot be eliminated under the cycle is broken and the affected are properly rehabilitated. So unless until these particular people are rehabilitated, they cannot be freed from this issue of bonded labor. And according to the updated rehabilitation of bonded labor scheme 2016, authorities are bound to rehabilitate laborers psychologically, socially, and economically. But it happens very rarely. So that is the reality of bonded labor in India. So this is the very sad story for of a bonded labor in from Delhi. But there are also some good stories, and we have a story that is the Sangita's story. She was freed from this particular bonded child labor. So a 12-year-old Sangita and her four sisters, they used to work with their parents in a brick kiln. Even though they all worked many hours each day, the brick kiln owner he did not pay sufficient wages. When they asked for an increase in their wages, the owner began to physically abuse them. And then MVES, that is the Manav Sansadhan एवं Mahila Vikas Sansthan staff member, He came to their community and he explained the project's activities in the area. As a result, the Sangita's father he joined the community of MCE MVS. All right, and he collectively uh, pressing for the improvements of the clinic. The family enrolled Sangeeta in the MCE MVS transitional schools for out of school youth. Sangeeta became increasingly aware of this importance of education and she helps the other students in schools now. They also learn about the issues like unsafe migration, human trafficking, and the debt bondage. Sangeeta is passionate about what she has been learning and has become an active member of Children's Forum, which meets the village officials to try to improve the conditions in the area. So basically, there are some non-profitable organizations. They are also working very keenly towards solving the issue of bonded labor, but they need some funding partners and support from the government. So that were the heart-wrenching stories of bonded labor. There are some positive stories, but there are also some negative stories also. All right. So this particular issue of bonded labor, it needs some solutions. So we'll study the solutions. The solutions like the mandated rehabilitation of released workers is a very essential part. Without adequate rehabilitation, those who are released will quickly fall again into the bonded laborer. Nonetheless, the central and state government should work jointly to implement the required rehabilitation process. So basically, the bonded laborers they need the essential rehabilitation program. The Bonded Labor System Act it should direct the vigilant committees and district collectors to institute savings and credit programs at the community level so that the impoverished might have access to small loan during the financial emergencies, and for that emergencies they should not be allowed to beg from these particular called creditors. All right. The eradication of bonded child labor in India it depends on the Indian government's commitment to the two imperatives. That is the first enforcement of Bonded Labor System Act, and second one is the creation of meaningful alternatives for already bonded laborers and those at risk of joining their ranks. So these are the solutions that needs to be implemented in our society, and it is totally in the hands of our Indian government. All right. So uh, this is for this lecture, and we will stop here. All right, so that was the issue of bonded labor, and we have also studied the solutions. Then we studied the legal provisions made by the Indian government. All right, so this particular lecture it completes the second topic of our syllabus. All right, in the next lecture we will study the issue of migration, and we will also study the human rights that are being uh, constituted in our Indian Constitution to protect the rights of migrated people. All right, so we will stop here. Thank you for listening lecture. If you have any doubt regarding this particular issue of bonded labor, you can comment down below this section. All right. Thank you for listening lecture. Thank you.